Damn what I was doing. Go back what I was doing.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Hi. We're just waiting for maybe a couple more minutes for more people to log on. But we're here, so just give it a couple minutes. Hi, everybody. I think we're going to start now. Does everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Cool. Great. So we have a lot of people here, as you can see, and there's lots of people that you can't see out there. But everyone's going to say something that is here right now. And we're going to have a beautiful video play, and it's going to be nice. It's going to really be a great honor to Monica. So I wanted to just start and read what I'm going to write, and then everyone's going to kind of follow me. And we're all a little nervous. We all think we're going to probably cry. So, but I know we can all do it. So, yeah. So I know a lot of you out there, but maybe not everyone. But I'm Brooke, and I'm really happy that you all have joined us today to celebrate and honor our beautiful friend Monica. I could talk for hours about her and how she has impacted my life. The stories and the memories are never ending. She's been a part of my life and my family's life now for years. There doesn't seem to be one birthday or holiday or weekend that her and P weren't a part of. As a lot of you may know, I was deeply involved with Monica's journey this last year and a half. I was in almost all of her doctor's appointments. I was the point person for case managers and nurses to call for updates of all kinds. Of course, so many of them, these nurses, they, like all of us, knew that Monica was a special person right off the bat. And a lot of them I spoke to, or she would tell me, were fascinated and in awe of our friendship. And even though these nurses and social workers saw cancer patients day in and day out and communicated regularly with their loved ones, they were intrigued by the fact that two women could have such a strong friendship and that wasn't bound by marriage or blood. So quickly, I just want to share how we met. Monica and I love to tell this story, sometimes finishing each other's sentences, because I know we both love the serendipitous element, and it felt like the beginning of a love story, which in the end, it truly is what it is and what it always will be. About 10 years ago, an old college friend of mine, James, hi James, if you're out there, reached out to me and said that he would be in town and would love to meet up for dinner or drink. He was tagging along with a friend from New York, and he thought we would really like each other. And as much as I wanted to see James and catch up, I remember it was a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and I felt like I didn't have the energy, and I would just about come up with any excuse to be lazy and not go out. And I remember Monica also saying that she almost didn't come either because she was tired. But I did go meet him that night after all, and I met him at a Mexican restaurant in Silver Lake, and Monica came later, late as usual. And when she walked in, I felt her presence immediately. It was like a bright light had turned on in the room. Her red lips and cute black bob, her effortless style, she was invigorating. She had an inviting, calming energy, and she exuded this confidence in a way that I had never really seen in a woman my age. I was so intrigued to know who she was. And we talked like we had known each other our whole lives that night. It was so effortless. We had so much in common. I opened up to her about so many things that were personal to me at the time, and I just felt so comfortable and so at ease. And after probably having one too many cocktails and walking to the next bar, somehow we both realized that we were both huge Tori Amos fans, stemming from our high school days. I've only truly met a handful of people that I had that in common with, so I was sold immediately. We all hung out every day after that they were in town. We went to the Rose Bowl flea market, lunch, to my house. And I remember feeling so sad that she was going back to New York because I thought I may not see her again. And I really wanted her to be my friend. There's water. So fast forward about 6 months or so, and I decided to quit my very stressful, awful job with no backup whatsoever. And it felt like such a relief, but soon it hit me that I needed a job. And I remember Monica had told me to reach out to her if I ever needed help, and that she knew a lot of people in the industry. And while I was usually apprehensive of reaching out for people for help, something told me to reach out to her. And within hours, she got back to me and sent my resume immediately to everyone she knew. And I couldn't believe it. I had a new job in a week, and I made connections that I still have today. After that, I soon got pregnant, and life was a blur. During the first year of my son Oliver was born, I was a busy working mom, not getting much sleep, and the days and the months flew by. I kind of kept up with Monica on social media throughout the years and saw that she was pregnant and was moving back to LA to be closer to her family and raise her daughter. I think when he was about 6 months old, I got an invite to a mom picnic and baby crawl, and I had never heard of such a thing, but I thought it was adorable. And I was also craving young mom friends because at the time I really didn't have any. And after we all met that day in Silver Lake, again, it was like we had known each other forever and picked right up where we left off. After that, our lives continued to intertwine effortlessly. We introduced each other to our friends. Barbecues and birthday parties became bigger. Her friends became mine, and mine hers. As our kids grew, we helped each other babysit so I could go on a date night with my husband, or she could go out with an old friend or entertain buyers at dinners. And as time went by, we grew closer and closer, from seeing each other for dinner every once in a while to talking every single day. I don't think I ever realized at the time how much I needed a friend like Monica. I realized it in the last few years, and most definitely now that I don't have her here. I never had a friend like that I texted for hours on end because I didn't think I had the time for that. I never did spontaneous things because it wasn't in my nature. When I looked at my life right before I met Monica, I worked too hard. I didn't believe in myself sometimes. I didn't let myself go and allow myself to be open and to be free and not care what other people thought of me. The more and more I knew her and was with her, she inspired me in every way. She was silly and fun and thoughtful and left an impression on every room she was in. So many times of being at parties or concerts or bar, I would think to myself, wow, I can't believe she is my friend and that she wants to be my friend. Because to me, she was always superhuman. She had more energy than I could ever imagine in my whole life. She was so thoughtful and giving that it made me look at myself and wonder if I could be better at that. She was so spontaneous, spending her last dime on concert tickets in a hotel room on a Tuesday night at the Madonna Inn, which baffled me at the time. And now I look back at that day as one of my most favorite and memorable moments of my life. She was so patient, understanding, and forgiving, which always made me rethink how I thought about my relationships with other people. She lived by a different set of rules that I don't think many of us understand. She did things and made decisions that maybe a lot of us wouldn't do. Maybe they seemed irresponsible or not thought out. But I think we all know that she was right to make all those decisions, to live life while it was happening, to not waste time, to not wait for the right time, because that time may not come. And the last 6 to 7 years that I was with Monica have defined an era of my life. The most joyful times of having our kids being young, of being young ourselves, being able to meet in New York or Seattle for work trips, singing karaoke at every birthday party, deciding to buy Fleetwood Mac tickets the day before the show. These were some of the best years of my life. And I know they wouldn't be as beautiful, as spontaneous, or as funny without her. So as much as I'm so sad and angry at the loss of such a beautiful friend, I know that I have to be incredibly grateful that she was a huge part of my life and my family's life, and that I was lucky enough that she was my friend. And the thing is, not only did Monica leave me with so many wonderful memories and funny stories, she left us all with each other. And as if her warmth and her humor and her baking skills weren't enough, she was a born connector of people and souls from all over. She connected all of us together and built one of the strongest bonds of support of friends that I can only say I feel so lucky to be a part of. This last year has taught me so much: what to let go of, what to hold on to, what to keep going for. Monica was that driving force, and she always will be to me, and I always will be forever grateful for that. And take a sip, but I have one last story. What was really surprising to me this last year, but also not, because it's very Monica, is how blown away she was by the support of everyone. The money that the GoFundMe raised, the food deliveries, the surprise packages, the letters, the flowers, all of it. She at times didn't understand it and thought it was too much. Maybe she didn't need it or didn't deserve it. I'm not sure. The way that I saw it and tried to explain to her was I likened the situation of her life, to one of my favorite films of all time, It's a Wonderful Life. And if you haven't seen it, you have to, because it's great. It's the story of a man named George Bailey who had dreams of becoming someone big, important, and successful. Somehow life just happened, and instead of thinking about himself and what he wanted and needed, he did the right thing every time, for his friends, for his family. The life seemed to pass him up, and he loses a great deal of money one day and thinks his life is over, and that he possibly wasted his life seeing his dreams fade away. And I think we can all identify that when something can happen when it's so bad, it just feels like the end of the world. And he wishes he'd never been born and toys with the idea of ending his life. And he's rescued by an angel who shows him what everyone's life would have been without him. And let's just say he made a big impact in the whole town and the whole cast of characters. Once he knows he's still alive and wants nothing more than to be with his family and realize that the money is not what's important, he returns to his home to find anyone and everyone giving what they have for him, big or small. A house full of love and cheer. He never asked for anything in his life. He was just him, and when he needed it, help came. it didn't come because people felt pity or pressure. It came because he needed it, and he was there for all of them when they needed it. And I told Monica, you are George Bailey, and this is your time to accept the love. And she got that right away. She didn't waste her life. She lived every minute. And she still had the time to make everyone she encountered feel special, every moment to be worth it, and every opportunity to crack a joke and laugh. And that's what life is about. And Monica embodied that to her core. So thank you all for everything you've done and who you all are.
Thank you, Brooke. I'm Jeffrey. For those of you who don't know me, I'm P's dad. Penelope here, and
I'm Amber.
Amber. Excuse me if I meander a little bit. I tried to write it down and be prepared, but it was just so hard to quantify in words what Monica meant to me and to Penelope. And, and that was in part because, I felt like I would sound like a broken record. I think that the way Monica was, how she invited everybody in, there was no ambiguity with her. She made it clear what she thought and where you stood with her. And, that was from such a loving place. And I think everybody who knows her and is here has the exact experience that I have. Because she wanted to make your life special. She wanted to do anything for anyone she possibly could, to know. She wanted you to know how important you are without even knowing she was doing it. When I met her, I was like 23. I was a youngin', and she was a little bit older, so she was very. To me, she was a seriously put together woman who I don't know why she would be fooling around hanging out with a kid, is what it felt like. But that's just who she was. She was everything was natural to her. So personable, and she was very disarming and would make you feel very easy and that you belonged with her and where you were. Incredibly funny, very smart, and yeah, spontaneous was her to a T. I ran into her. I met her where I was working, and then I ran into her at a friend's like 70s disco party that they were throwing. She was randomly there, and she was actually on a date with somebody. And then I didn't know that, but she was dancing with me a little bit, and I asked for her number, and she's like, well, maybe I'll just come in and visit you again. And I was like, well, what if I want to call you before then? And so she gave me her number in front of the guy, and I didn't know that, but that was kind of she was a little comfortable with it, but she said she really wanted to do that, and that was just kind of how she was. And I didn't know her for very long before she got a job in New York, and she asked if I would move with her, and I didn't want to stay in the same. I'd grown up in Seattle, and I thought this is a perfect reason to, get out and try something new with somebody I don't know that well, but I feel cared for and looked after in that way, especially going to New York City where I knew nobody. And she had such a huge net of people in her life. Everywhere I went with her, there was somebody that she knew or was meeting from all facets of her life, going back from being a kid to like somebody she met 2 days before. Like everybody was welcomed in. Um, it was effortless to her. Her generosity and kindness knows no bounds. She would give you the shirt off of her back um, without a second thought. And that was something that was always amazing to me, that it never, she never got worn out by any of it. She thrived off of giving, and there was nothing more that she could do than to try and make you feel welcome. And as a mother, she was tireless and devoted, everything and more for Penelope. She fostered a very strong sense of self in Penelope that I'm very proud to see. She's acting shy now, but
Don't let it fool you.
but you know, she's very experiential. She, like Brooke said, you know, wanted to live life, and the most important thing to her was being there at that time, being present, and that's evidenced in how she impacted so many people. I think that seeing her, you know, because we kind of went our separate ways for a little while, but when she was diagnosed, I came to take care of her after she got out of that first surgery, and be there for her in P. And just watching the amount of love and support that just came like an avalanche at her, from every single person I think that she ever met in her life. Cards and gifts, you wouldn't even know where they came from, or you'd ask and she'd be like, oh yeah, that was I used to babysit for her children when I was like 12, and I haven't spoken to that person in 25 years. You know, like the gravity that she had to pull everybody in was enormous. And I'm so grateful that I was able to be there, and be there to support her through the last year with Penelope, and just letting her know how much she meant to me and to P. And I still don't have enough things to say. I feel like I'm going to be thinking about this forever, and all the ways that she has impacted me and everybody around. So with that, we love you, Monica, and we know that, you know, you're always around in us. So thank you.
Yeah, I had the privilege of getting to know Monica just over the last year, really, and help out in the last few months of her life. And although it was unusual and unfortunate circumstances, and we had a unconventional relationship. She always was able to make me feel comfortable, important, and loved and a part of the family. So I feel very lucky to have gotten to know her and to be able to care for this beautiful child. Thank you guys for everything, all the support and all the love.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Leah. Gonna get through this. So I met Monica in 1999. So in the spirit of Monica, I decided to do kind of like a poem because she always loved creative. She loved to love and she loved poetry. So here goes. 20 years ago, we met a girl full of life, love, and laughter. You were contagious, infectious, a blast. We were counterparts, managers, merchants, and friends. Endless dinner parties, work trips, and then we became family, our circle of friends. Grew bigger and bigger from LA to Seattle to New York. You would share videos, dance moves, and even twerk. There were trips, birthdays, marriages, and kids. Through all of this, life's distance was never a miss. You would always blow us a big red-lipped kiss. You were a hustler, a baker, a creative maker. With pies upon pies, we could see love through those big brown eyes. Making life better and better for P, we all supported each other, and that was the key. The key to our friendship, fellowship, and fun. Through the best and the worst of times, you always made us feel like we were number one. Looking back on fond memories and late nights of just 3, we will always be grateful to our introduction, our connection. Her name was BP. Although our hearts are broken, the crack is filled with emotions, joyful emotions and memories that will always be celebrated. For you, I've always been part of we. It's not goodbye, but see you later. We can't wait to dance our butts off all night in the presence of our creator. Our dear Monica, Moni love, we will forever be grateful for the lasting impression you left on our lives. Till next time, we will rise. Rise up together in love of our dear friend taking care of your precious Penelope. Your memories will never end. We love you, Monica. Thank you for forever changing our lives for the better.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah. This is my husband, Ryan. Monica is one of my oldest, dearest friends. I met her back in 2001, 20 years ago, when I was roommates with her friend Mindy, and we all worked at Nordstrom together in BP, selling clothes, running merchandise back to the floor, or dump as we called it. Stack them high and watch them fly, and dressing babes was our life. Around 2002, I became Monica's assistant when she was the BP manager at Nordstrom Brea, and we became inseparable, best friends. I looked up to her so much, and we just had the best time, whether it was at work or outside of work. She made work fun, and she was so caring and loving toward everyone on her team. Over the next several years, we started getting really into vintage shopping, music, and haircuts. It was kind of a hobby. What asymmetrical indie emo girl haircut could we think of next? And you will see some gems in the slideshow. People started to say that we looked alike when our hair was similar, and I would get mistaken for her at work, especially when Monica got promoted and moved to Seattle, and I took over her job in the buying office and sat at her old desk. People would pass by and wave at me with the biggest smiles, thinking I was her. And I had never met them before, but I just smiled and waved back rather than trying to explain. It was the biggest compliment. Who wouldn't want to be mistaken for Monica? Endless beauty on the inside and out. A few years later, when my job moved to Seattle as well, I called her and told her I could only take the job and make the move if she was there holding my hand. And she did. Like a big sis, she took days off work to drive around and help me look for apartments. She was always so thoughtful and helpful like that. We found the perfect spot a couple blocks from her apartment, and we would walk to work together every day and hit our favorite spots around Seattle after work. I saw her come alive in Seattle like I had never seen before. That city and time gave her so much life. She had a magical haircut with a long curl in the front, and she was a complete vixen. There was an electricity and energy about her that just exuded style, confidence, and charm. She was so full of radiance, carefree, thrived on risks, and always down for an adventure. Like one Halloween, when we dressed up as a group of characters from The Wizard of Oz, she was going to be Glinda the Good Witch, and she wanted to dye her wedding dress pink for her costume. And I was like, Monica, cannot dye your wedding dress pink. I remember a funny night out dancing in Seattle when she was wearing this amazing salmon-colored full-length jumpsuit with cape-like sleeves. She completely stood out in the crowd, and I'm sure people were thinking, who is that girl? She looked stunning. What they didn't know was it was kind of short in length from shoulder to hip. So every time she was dancing and would throw her arms up in the air, she would yell out in kind of a shriek from the pain of the wedgie it was giving her. We were all just laughing and laughing at her, and as per usual, she was the life of the party. Another funny memory of Monica was from my wedding. I had a very casual destination wedding with no wedding party and no agenda for the reception. Just a night of good food and dancing with friends. There was a microphone present, and at one point during the dinner, I saw Monica get up, lock eyes with me, and start weaving her way through the tables to the mic. Without any prior conversation about this, I could see she was taking it upon herself to make a speech. Inside, I admit, I thought, oh God, my parents are here. What is she gonna say? But it's Monica. What could go wrong? She gave a beautiful message of love and support, which I could tell she was completely winging, reminded everyone that she was the social media director of the wedding, scolded the guests for not using the right hashtags, and then stole the show by heading to the DJ booth. I just love that she decided this wedding needs a speech from me. There are countless memories of fun times with Monica. She simply represented joy. A hopeless romantic, wildly expressive, best storyteller ever, most caring friend, and endlessly entertaining. I miss her sense of humor and telling her all the things, because she would go deep with you, entertain all the silly thoughts, build upon them, let her imagination run free, and force you to laugh. She was that friend. In recent years, we both became moms to girls, and her thoughtfulness and generosity knew no bounds, with hand-me-downs of her most favorite Penelope clothes, a rocking horse named Peaches, and several surprise Amazon packages with books she knew Sloan would like. Even this last year, when she was sick in the hospital, it was the last thing that she should be worrying about. Her love for my daughter touched me so deeply, and watching her strength as a mother was so remarkable and extraordinary. When thinking about speaking today, it was really hard. I'm a sales rep in the clothing industry, just like Monica. We're both used to getting up in front of people, putting on a presentation, selling our wares, but thinking of trying to encompass Monica's infectious spirit in words feels impossible. As everyone here knows, she was one of a kind, a rare, magical force. She touched so many people with her open, warm, loving spirit. I'm sure we are all alike here, lost in grief and disbelief that the universe could take this person from us. But when you think of Monica, how do you not get a big smile on your face? She gave us all that, these precious memories. If I could tell her something now, it would be, Mon, you won at life. You did it. It may have been unfairly shorter than all than we all wished. But you lived more, loved harder, laughed tremendously, built your army of friends, and had more love surrounding you than anyone I have ever met. When I think about Monica, I will remember her as always loving, always late, always a good time, and always gonna have a good story to tell when she gets there. Love you, Mon.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. I'm Marco, and this is my partner, Brett. And for any of you I haven't met, and like many joining today, I met Monica initially through Nordstrom years and years ago. And I wanted to start by simply acknowledging how amazing it is to see so many come together to remember and celebrate Monica. And although, by no means is that surprising, it still feels incredibly overwhelming to be with you all here today. So thank you for the opportunity to join us. I know all of you could easily share a story or two with us if given the chance, because anyone who spent time with Monica absolutely has 100 stories worth sharing. And I just hope that out of those being shared today, everyone is able to see themselves and their relationship with Monica as if it was your own story being told. Similar to many of us, Monica and I have been a part of each other's lives for several years and throughout several different chapters and moves across the country. And I think what is most memorable about our beginning at Nordstrom is just remembering what it felt like to meet Monica, to walk by her and just watch her, Sorry. And I know anyone, who ever worked with her knows what I mean by that. If I close my eyes, I can still picture her. Always beautiful in a way that looks so effortless and wonderfully imperfect. Always smiling with those huge red lips, owning her style that so many adored. And usually she'd be singing whatever terrible song was playing over the sound system in BP, and even dancing somehow while carrying arms full of product. And she'd just move throughout the floor beautifully, saying hi to anyone who walked by, never missing a beat or letting someone pass her without acknowledging them. Mon had this superpower, unlike anyone I've ever met. She made you feel loved for everything you are and anything you are not. And that feeling was so magnetic and drew us all towards her. And I could still feel that energy she'd exude that was brighter than anyone else's. And you couldn't help but follow her and want to be near her and part of her life. I really struggled at first when thinking about what I wanted to say today, because so many of my favorite memories of Monica can seem so trivial to others. And I realized that was what we all love so much about her, because it didn't matter what you were doing with Mon. You always felt like you were the only thing that mattered for that moment. Monica was the friend that you'd go to a concert with and miss the first half of the show because you'd be in a bar catching up and everything else around you would have just fallen away. And even when you realized you missed the majority of the concert, you would just laugh your asses off and probably still order one more drink. And I know this because that was our thing when she moved to Seattle, was seeing shows together. And I'm not embarrassed to say we probably missed the majority of them because we were either still at dinner or at a bar somewhere. And I'll always think of her every time I hear one of those albums play, and remember those times where it would just be the two of us and she'd be zeroed in on you, staring at you, and you at her, just laughing with each other and talking about anything and everything. And those moments I play back now and would give anything for just one more concert together or one more dinner that we would absolutely be late to, no doubt, because we are both perpetually late. And I love that about us. Even something that understandably annoyed others, we could still love about one another. When Monica passed, I think many of us used social media to feel connected to one another and celebrate her the best we could while being apart. And I posted some of my favorite photos of us. And what moved me the most after doing so was how many people reached out who didn't know Monica and shared how they felt like they had. They felt like they had from the photos we all shared and the stories we all told about her. And one friend in particular, who hadn't ever personally met Monica, shared something with me that I'd like to share with all of you in closing. One of the most special things about those in our lives and closest to us is the impression they leave on us. And it's clear that Monica's brightness shines in all of us that knew her. And everyone we come across can see the magnetic, earnest, and loving energy we speak of when talking about Monica. And so her impact still lives in all of us, and therefore she'll never truly be gone. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to share today.
Thank you, Marco. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Lou. Been a friend of Monica's for the past 20 years. And like a lot of you guys, just thinking about what I want to say today that would adequately capture Monica. She was the best mama to her P. She was the best daughter, sister, cousin, auntie, coworker, neighbor, the most fun-loving, hilarious friend to all. We first met and joined up when we were in the buying office at Nordstrom in Southern Cal. We spent our days laughing and trying to make the perfect buy, if ever there is such a thing. Monica loved fashion, and she was such a talented merchant. She loved her job so much that she commuted every day 2 hours or 2.5 hours each way and just did it because she just loved her job more than anything. Those days we spent together in the buying office were so fun. I don't even know how we could have had that much fun. It smelled terrible and it was a windowless dungeon-like office, but somehow we had fun there. We had this little kitchen. So sometimes we wouldn't leave all day because we would just hang out in the office and go to the giant fridge and get food. At one point, Monica said to me, I think I'm gaining weight. And I told her, maybe you should ease up on the Hot Pockets that you're eating twice a day. I had never seen a Hot Pocket until I worked with Monica. Amazing, really amazing food product. Or I said, maybe you should slow your roll on that box of See's candy in your drawer. Fast forward a few years and we're both in Seattle working in NPG, and I become her Seattle mom, trying to get her to save her money and screening her latest crush to make sure he wasn't a serial killer. She was a hopeless romantic with a love for her vintage shoes. I remember a trip we took to London once where she went crazy and bought 13 pairs of vintage shoes. I tried to get her to edit, but she insisted she could not edit, not one, and had to have them all. She bought them all, brought them home, and would keep them at work and they would be overflowing out of her desk drawers. When she moved to New York, sometimes I talked to her daily, while other times we wouldn't talk for months. But she always remembered to text or call to wish me a happy Mother's Day. No matter how much time had passed, we would pick right up like no time had passed. And when P was born, Monica took on her favorite role, being a mom to P. Monica was such an amazing mother, juggling work and motherhood with the help of her army of friends and family in LA. She was a part of so many people's lives because she brought her light and joy to whoever was lucky to be in her presence. She always had a story to make you laugh until you cried. And what I did learn recently is that she had different versions for different audiences. As her Seattle mom, I wonder what she left out for my protection or for hers. She showed all of us how kindness goes a long way. I remember back when we were in the buying office, one morning we were super busy and I was all stressed out, trying to get my day going, trying to figure what's up. And Monica's not at her desk. So of course I'm like, mind just going like, what the, are you kidding me? Where is she? We got stuff to do. And all of a sudden I look up and she comes around the corner and she has a giant coffee pot in her hand and she's going around the office and pouring coffee for everyone. And on top of it, she brought in her own apron. So she looks like Holly Homemaker. She's got a coffee pot. She's pouring everybody coffee. I'm freaking out because we have so much to do. And that's just the perfect example of how Monica was. She always thought of other people. She always would do things for people that would make them smile and brighten their day. She was loving and caring and accepting of people. I remember when she lived in Seattle, one night we were walking down the street and all of a sudden she's gone. I look around, I'm like, are you kidding me? What is going on? Where is she? What the hell? And all of a sudden she pops up next to me again. And I'm like, what just happened? Where did you go? What is happening right now? And she said, oh, I was like, were you talking to that homeless man? And she said, oh yeah, he was really cold. So I gave him my gloves. I'm like, what? And she said, yeah, I just feel like he needed them more than me. So I gave him my gloves. So again, just the testament to how caring and loving and accepting she was, and just always thinking of other people. Monica was the best person I have ever met. She had the purest and kindest heart. And to me, she embodied all that was good. She made each person she met feel like they were the only person in the room, her best friend in the world. She loved people just the way they were and loved connecting with them to hear their stories. She was so kind. She made people want to be better and to do better. She lived every day to the fullest. I will miss Monica for the rest of my days, but I'll continue to tell her stories and hopefully get to spend time with people will birth and help P, and a hummingbird that will forever keep a watchful eye on her. Thank you all for being here. It's a testament to the love that we all have for Monica, and I know we will all miss her so dearly. So thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Megan Albert, and like everybody here, I'm nervous, and I was like having so many emotions about speaking today. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Am I going to cry? Well, obviously I'm crying my face off, so bear with me. But I wrote stuff down, which I'll read, but I also just wanted to say that some of you I've never met before this Zoom call, and it's just so lovely to see how she's made such an incredible group of friends. And I've heard stories about so many of you. And I love how many overlaps there are amongst our stories, because it just makes me so happy to hear all the red lipstick stories, which mine includes, and all the spontaneous stories. And I'm just so thankful to have met Monica. And thank goodness I got some Kleenex. So I'll never forget when I met Monica. She was, as everyone has said, so stunning with her bright red lipstick and her jet black hair. And I always thought of her as a combination of Betty Boop and sort of Elizabeth Taylor, which I feel like she kind of encompassed both their personalities as well. And when we found out that we both loved Ruby Woo lipstick, we bonded over that and all the other shades that we shared back and forth over the years. We both love to cook and bake. And I just knew that we were soulmates, and I was in love with her. I have so many wonderful stories like all of you to share, and it was really hard to think of what number one is appropriate for this moment, because so many of them are hysterical and probably not appropriate to share. But so I decided to share the one of the night of my wedding dress rehearsal. And in classic Monica fashion, she was late. And, you know, it's my wedding. And I'm thinking, where is my best friend for my dress rehearsal? And waiting. And it's going on. And we begin the dress rehearsal without her. And I keep checking and I'm thinking, is she going to show what, you know, it's classic Monica, but at the same time, where is she? And finally she burst through the door. And as everybody alluded to, she was just like a vision. And I was like, oh, there she is. And I felt at ease that she was there because I needed her. And it was just instantly hysterical. She had tons of bags on her arms, looked beautiful. And Jeffrey had hair down to the middle of his back, and it was in this fabulous blowout. And she then told me that that's why she was late, is that Jeffrey also got a blowout. And I thought, of course, that's why you're late. And it was just, Jeffrey's hair was the envy of every woman at the wedding. It was so thick and gorgeous. And I see now, Jeffrey, that you have short hair, but your hair was something of a wonder at that moment. And everything was fine. And the wedding, we didn't, you know, it went off perfectly, and it was fine that she was late. My husband and I have always referred to Monica as our sister wife before we were married and afterward, because she used to come to our apartment and we would all cook dinner together. We would all, you know, she was just part of the family, as she is with so many of you. And she'll forever be with me. I think about her all the time. When I was going through old photos, I found a hysterical photo that I'd forgotten about, several of them. And what it was of us drinking Veuve champagne mixed with, I hope I'm saying this right, La Croix. And we were calling them all night Veuve Croix. And we were like, oh, Veuve Croix. And we thought we were so chic. And that was the night that she put on a slip. I don't know if the picture is going to be in the slideshow, and she looks exactly like Elizabeth Taylor. And it was just hysterical. And I remember when she was on my bachelorette party, and she was in the middle of getting her tooth replaced, her front tooth. And so she had a fake tooth, and she kept popping it out during the party and making all of us laugh because, you know, who would have the confidence to sit there and pop out their front tooth but Monica? And I don't know if any of those pictures are in, but if not, I can share them with the group later because they're hysterical. And that's how she was. She always made everyone laugh, as everybody has said. She was so beautiful every time I spoke to her. And I'm so thankful not only for the time that I had with Monica, but also the people I've met through Monica, because it's a lot of people who are really, really great people. And I'm just thankful for the time I spent with her.
Breathing. Hello to everyone, to all the faces I see here, but also I know there's a ton of faces I don't see, and I can't wait to see your faces. Please send me messages, selfies, anything, because I dearly miss anyone I would have seen. my name is Kristen. I've been a close friend of Monica for around 12 years. 10 years. I don't know. Sorry, I'm so nervous. Breathing. I have actually a note to breathe, so I'm going to breathe now. Bueno, primero, yo quiero hablar con Juan y Diego. Lo siento mucho por tu pérdida, pero tu ángel Mónica está en los brazos de los Dios. Thank you for sharing her with us. And you're so important. And thank you. So I want to talk about the things I love about Monica, which most of them are wildly obvious. But I'm going to tell you anyways. These were my top. It was so hard to narrow down. But the joy she carried with her, no matter what the circumstance, was the joy that she carried with her. She enjoyed herself. She enjoyed her family, her daughter, her friends. The joy was in the things she baked. Lucky for so many of us, we got to taste all those damn pies. She put joy in the house parties, the concerts, the work day, even all those trips to Maggie's Donuts across the street from the office. I was also a beneficiary sometimes of those donut trips to Maggie's. She just had this soul that smiled. It's wild. She's just a wild, joyful soul. I loved so much about her that she was a comedian. She had the best scandalous stories, which again, I'm hearing everyone got a different version. And the most embarrassing moments, she would share the most embarrassing moments with me, but like she never took herself seriously, which was such a gift. I mean, this wild woman made me laugh. I was definitely peeing my pants a few times, falling off her couch, like those days in the Glendale apartment. Absolutely. She always cooked my favorite things when I was down and out, which was a bag of chips and a bottle of whiskey. It's pretty low key, but her caldo de pollo made me feel so good. I hope some of you got her soup. It was wonderful. I love her love for Penelope, Penelope is her soulmate, was her soulmate in this world. And she spared no expense, making every moment of that little girl's life filled with sublime happiness. Just from the little things to the big things. And I know we all know about the great birthday parties. It was a birthday party, always with Penelope, this beautiful birthday parties. And so I don't know if a lot of you know how competitive Saturday morning LA public park picnic table space is. It's really hard to get. You got to get there early. You got to lay down the clock. So like always with Penelope's parties, especially when she was little, that was the perfect place to have a party, was the LA park. So I go up with her. It's the only time Monica was early. It was 8 a.m. We're laying out the cloths and trying to find a table with a tree right by the table so we could hang the stuff, and dragging coolers from her apartment. And then there's Penelope just dragging Amelie on the leash. And I got to be there for the whole thing. It was always years of that. And it's so precious to me. Another thing I love about her is how ingenious she was. She could always make the best of a complete shit situation. I remember when she moved into her house in La Cañada, the hot water heater did not work almost immediately when they moved in. There was just something going on. Derek, I know you know. And this girl boiled pots of water every night until everything got fixed. And she was like, I'd call her and be like, how's it going? How's the house? Oh, I'm just boiling a pot of, just pots of water, and Penelope and I are going to take a bath. So she just, it was just a Quaker style, no problem. Didn't even faze her. And if something didn't go to plan, she would find a way to figure out that creative solution. and she would just charge ahead, and she didn't ask anyone's permission, just herself. And I just think about that power it took. She listens to herself so well. You know, most of us spend lots of money on lots of therapists to seek our own voice. And she never struggled with that. And that was just so beautifully rare. And God, I love that about her. Today, I'm filled with gratitude to have known her and to have been her friend and a partner in crime. Let's right alongside all of you guys. The faces I see, the faces I don't see. You were her partner in crime, and she made you feel that way. And I know you all have the best stories of her. So in gratitude, I want to say thank you, Monica. Thank you, Monica, for showing me how to experience joy and to actually let go of my worries and to love yourself exactly who you fucking are. And she did that. Thank you, Monica, for showing me how to experience that being anti-KK. I'm anti-KK to Penelope, and it is just, gosh, it's the best role. I will continue to make pancakes from scratch for her. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make that stovetop oatmeal that you make for her. I have no idea. But I'm certainly gonna try, and I'm always gonna be there for her whenever she needs me. Thank you, Monica, for showing me that when things fall apart, we can walk around the broken pieces and just move ahead and figure it out. Thank you, Monica, for always supporting me and having my back and giving me beautiful dresses to wear, and for bringing all these wonderful people in my life, all of you. Thank you, Monica, lastly, always for meeting people where they are. Monica, you're so accepting. You're so caring. And you just have this unique ability to make everyone feel special with your smile and your eyes. So I thank you so much. I know that we are all hurting, and we're mourning the physical loss of our Monica. We're mourning the loss of these imagined future moments, that are swept away, but we honor her. We honor her like we are now, telling these wonderful stories. It's our healing. It's our healing, and we get to behold these incredible, unforgettable stories, like little treasures, like little things we get to keep to ourselves. And that healing is honoring, that our healing will honor Monica, that she wants us. She wants us to heal. And we get to take everything with us, each one of us, for the rest of our lives. And always, we go on this journey with her, and we take her with us. She's not gone. She's with us. She's with us always and forever. That smile, those lips, everything that she would say, that face. I'm looking at her face right now. It's just so beautiful. So we take her with us. And thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to her family and her friends. And I love you, Monica. I love you, Penelope. I love you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Abigail. I'm Zoe's mom. Monica and I met when P and Zoe were in their first year of preschool. Zoe and P had an immediate friendship and became besties right away. I don't know exactly how it happened, but one day I saw Monica during pickup at preschool, and the next day it seemed that she became one of my best friends. I do remember when we first met, she thought that Zoe, Dave, my husband, and I were dentists. I looked at her sort of bewildered and asked her why. And she said, because all of you have perfect teeth. And so I figured you were dentists. And she was so serious, but it was really hilarious. And from then on, we were dentists, and she introduced us to everybody as dentists. We soon became like family in the short time that we knew each other. Monica would tell the girls, your friends who are family, friends can be your family. And Monica and P certainly were. Before she got sick, we concocted a plan that we were going to join the local country club as one family unit. We figured that it would save a lot of money on monthly dues, and we would always be together anyway. And we would be the unconventional kind of family with 2 wives and 1 Dave. We even went on a couple of family vacations together, Palm Springs and to Carpinteria. In Carpinteria, all 5 of us shared one small room with 2 beds, but it didn't matter because we were comfortable and it was nice and it was loving, and the 2 girls played like sisters, and the 3 of us drinking and laughing and having a great time. We both got to complain about Dave taking too long in the bathroom, almost an hour, when it only took the 2 of us less than 5 minutes to get ready. The girls would have sleepovers at Monica's place or my place, and Monica would always say, it's so much easier with more than 1 kid. And I would look at her like she was crazy, but she wasn't. She was just a unicorn. She loved Zoe so much, and really all kids. She loved having lots of kids and chaos around. She could bake, clean, and entertain simultaneously, and all in good spirits and cheer. When I hosted the sleepover, I was exhausted and grumpy, not like Monica at all. I loved the ease of being her friend. We would make weekend plans or drop-in plans. Despite talking to each other every day, couldn't wait to talk to her again. I have to admit, though, that I would have to silence my phone after 11 p.m. sometimes because it seemed like time she didn't sleep and would just text the night away. I have a favorite non-mom adventure with Monica. She mentioned that she wanted to see Beach House at the Madonna Inn on a random weekend night in April. After listening to her talk, I said, let's do it. Within 24 hours, we planned our ditch days, and luckily she convinced Brooke to play hooky, and I convinced my good friend Priya. We had the best time having the adventure, being cheesy, overindulging, and just laughing. I was the designated driver, and going home from the trip, I remember Monica and Brooke laughing and giggling. And when I turned around to look in the back seat, those 2 were drinking wine and smoking while I was driving. I shook my head and just thought, wow, they know how to live. I'm so lucky to be a part of their lives. And also, I hope I don't get pulled over and arrested. But I think my most favorite moments are the ones that I can't specifically remember. It was just the casual weekend plans. And we just go over and let the girls play, and we drink and eat and talk and turn on a movie and never watch the movie and talk and drink. And it always felt like home. Monica always felt like home. I thought the most devastating news that she could ever tell me was that she was moving to Seattle a couple of years ago. She said, I'm fed up with LA, I'm gonna move to Seattle. And I tried to be strong, but I cried and cried and didn't want her to leave. And at that point, I already planned our lives together, raising Zoe and P together and continuing to be the family that we were. I couldn't have imagined that she was gonna get sick. We were gonna lose her forever. But I know I was lucky, and we're all so lucky to be a part of Monica's life. She was the best person I knew. And I loved her so much. We both did. Thank you. Joe, if you're on, would you like to say a few words?
Hear me? Can you hear me? You can? Okay, great. Thanks for letting me join this. It's bringing back a lot of memories. I had written a letter to Monica. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to read it to her. Unfortunate situations. But here goes. Dearest Mokata, I remember the days your dad would take me to see Clint Eastwood movies as a kid. Then one day you arrived. It felt like you were the first baby I ever held. You were calm, curious, and observing with those big eyes of yours. I saw you grow up with their younger cousins and graced with your nickname Mokata by Marlene. You opened your heart to every living creature you encountered by your collection of pets throughout the years. I was so proud of your work accomplishments and your short 80s dark wave cover band keys synth moments, of your ability to make and take on and raise a mini version of you. I can keep going, so I'll keep it short. I'll do my best and keep an eye on Theo and P while you're away, and help Marlene any way I can. I pray to Mama every day to watch over you and guide you with your love. Love you very much, Monica. Give your tios fuerte abrazos for us. We're gonna miss you very, very much. And thanks, you guys. Let me share this. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you, everyone. As you can see, I'm a little bit of a mess, so now I have to keep talking. It was beautiful, all the stories. I know there's probably 300 more people right now that want to say these same things and are thinking the same things. I want to just end this part of the call with something that Monica's therapist had written to her, and he was someone that was very important in her life, and he was someone that knew her for a long time and knew, of course, exactly who she was, as we all do. And I asked him to write something, and I think it's really beautiful and just encompasses exactly who she is very clearly and what she meant to all of us. So yeah, so this is from Dean, for Monica. Love wants to flow. There's an old joke about water that since we humans are mostly made of it, we are just water's way of moving around the planet. That's actually true about love. When we forget about ourselves and overcome the myriad difficulties in our lives, love is what's left and it wants to be shared. Every smile, every small act of generosity or kindness is a little packet of love moving around the world. Monica was a vehicle of love, and she moved a lot of it. They say the hallmark of the very best star in any sport is that they make those around them better. Who here hasn't loved more because of Monica? She gave, and even more importantly, she made us all want to give more as well. She starred on that team of beings whose job it is to remind us that love is what truly matters. Stars on that team are deeply spiritual beings. Monica may have not have gone to church or meditated or had much time for yoga, but love, generosity, and kindness were always her North Star. Monica was simply spiritual. Her body had obvious weaknesses, but her mind was first rate. But it was her heart and her spirit that guided her life, and we were all made better for it. She worried towards the end of her life about where she was going and whether or not she might pay for not always being her best. And you all helped her through that. Not so much by anything you said, but with all the love you gave. She was so blown away by all the love and that showed up in her time of illness. Thankfully, in the end, she came to see this as just love's way. Love is always looking to pay it forward. All your love coming back to her helped her to understand that. You helped her to be at peace with herself and even to recognize her part in creating that peace. For most of her life, she was so busy with the details that she didn't appreciate her profound strength of spirit and her role in spreading this love. In the end, even amidst her pain and suffering, she got a glimpse of just what a love muffin she was. We should all be so lucky. It is, of course, a deeply sad thing that such a bright being with her warmth and her smile and her joy in living is no longer here. Hopefully, all of us will find comfort in Monica's spirit, which indeed lives on. With each act of kindness we perform going forward in our lives, we remember Monica. With each smile and generous act, we continue her work. To keep doing love's errand is to keep Monica's alive in our hearts and do as she would have us do, especially towards one among us who will miss her presence. May Monica rest in peace, and may all of the rest of us get busy loving. Thank you all so much again for everyone out there, who you all are, who you all have been to her, to me, to all of us. This has been hard. You all made it easier. And I just want to thank you. I love you all. And now I'm going to figure out how to play this video. Hold on one second. And by the way, this video was made because everyone shared all their moments, and it was hard to look at them, but I laughed so much and I smiled so much when I saw the pictures and the videos and the memories, and I felt them like I was there, even if I wasn't there when I was there. And you'll see how special it is because she was so special. And my very good friend Ariane helped me make this, and I think you all will love it. There's a lot of great moments, and so
I hope to always know all of you. She created such an amazing group of people in this world, and I know that we'll all be friends after this forever. She would only want that more than anything. So thank you. And I'm going to play this video. So give me 1 second. Thank you. Was a cornflake girl. Thought that was a good solution. Hiding up the resin bears. She's going to the other side, giving us the old. Things are getting kind of gross, and I go to sleepy time. This is not really, this is not really happening. You bet your life it is. You bet your life it is. Honey, you bet your life it's a peel out the watchword, just peel out the watchword. My name is Kelly Puckett. I went to high school with Monica. When I found out she was sick in 2020, January, I took some time off of work and I helped take her to and from appointments, took Penelope to and from school. So I got to really get to know Penelope since I had only known her when she was a small child because I had moved from California to Arizona. If you knew Monica, you knew her laugh was infectious. You could hear her across the hall and you wanted to get to know that person with that laugh. You knew that the best advice she ever gave you was to always carry mascara and red lipstick in your purse. If you're having a bad day, you're feeling sad, or you just didn't like something, that red lips, the only way to go. It could make you feel special, and it does. So I always remember that. Whenever I have red lipstick on, I always think of Monica. There's so many memories I could think about or tell you stories about. I think to know her when she was younger, in high school, I could tell you that she was spontaneous. She was adventurous. I can say that when I turned 16, I was the first one to get my license. And she had this grand notion that we could drive to LA and go to Hollywood and cruise up and down the Hollywood Strip. As naive as we were like, of course we can. We can get there, no problem. We live in Orange County. We can get there. We know everything. So we drove in my dad's minivan and we got lost. We actually ended up in this really shady McDonald's and we weren't scared. We were just kind of like, well, I guess we're lost. We don't know where it is. So we had to break out the MapQuest book and figure out how to get home. And that was the extent of our first trip having a license, was getting lost on our way to LA. But no matter what you did, you always had fun with her. It was either getting lost, becoming a model and taking photos down at the beach of Balboa, or we decided we were going to be models and we were going to has a memory that is gonna keep them through a lifetime. There's just so many more I could talk about. I mean, I was reminiscing, going through photos, and I actually found a letter that she wrote me from high school, which was like so funny just to reread it, and you know what was so important to us then, you know, boys and breakups and friends that, you know, don't have your back. But those things still read true today, is having that friend that will always have your back. That was Monica. She would fly from New York to Arizona for my wedding. She would fly to Palm Springs from New York for my bachelorette weekend. Those are things that you could always depend on Monica for. She was always going to show up. She was always going to look fabulous. And she was always going to have her lipstick on. I miss you, Monica. Love you all.
Hi everyone, my name's Amber. I'm a friend of Monica's from Seattle. We met in 2008, I believe. Monica used to live in this like really like quintessential like early Seattle architecture apartment. It was like super romantic. There was like a courtyard in the middle. It's called the Biltmore. You could look it up if you wanted to. And her apartment faced, part of it faced the courtyard, so she could always just like look down and wave at you, or you could like holler up to her, or you know, if you forgot something, she could throw it out the window. But I went over there on like a Sunday morning up to her apartment, and I remember she had the windows open and there was kind of a breeze, and it was just like in the spring where like, you know, the weather is starting to change and the air is like a little bit warmer, but maybe there aren't like quite leaves on the tree or anything like that. And she had baked this like spice bundt cake and had it like on the table in a cake stand. And I just remember like, I don't know, I guess I hadn't met anybody like that before that just, you know, baked a cake for, even if it was just for themselves, for like no occasion, just like somebody baked a cake for the sake or for the romantic gesture of just baking a cake. And I don't know why that like resonated with me, but I feel like it captures like a part of her personality, how she just, you know, was just so romantic at heart. But that particular day, she just bought the Johanna Newsom record that it came out. I think it's Have One on Me. And she was playing over and over again that song Baby Birch. And she was just talking about how she loved it so much. And I could see, you know, she had like an empty, one of those like empty journal books, and she was and looked at the lyrics and the writing them in her journal. And, I mean, if you know her, it's just like so Monica. She's like such a beautiful romantic. So like the next little story I want to tell is the day that she got Ami. I remember like a couple days prior, she was like, I think I'm gonna get a Havanese. And I feel like she just like had one like the next day. And she had, you know, called me or texted me and was like, come over after work and send me to the Biltmore, and you know, we're hanging out and she has Ami and we're super excited. We were watching a David Lynch movie, and I think it was Inland Empire, but I'm not sure. And Monica was like, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna make some more. Do you want any more? And I was like, yeah, I guess I can have some. So she went into the kitchen and came back, and we're watching the movie, and this like crazy smell starts wafting in. And as it turns out, she had just turned on the wrong burner and set like the package of pasta on the burner. So it was like smoke and fire. And so we like, the alarms didn't go off, which is like actually kind of scarier than if they did. But we, you know, throw it in the safe, open the windows, and we like, we hooked up the pasta and we were kind of worried about the smell of burnt plastic. So we decided that it like wasn't safe for Ami to be there. So we like wrapped her in a blanket and took her to this bar, the Redwood down the street. And we were hanging out with her in the booth. And there was a guy there, this like aspiring photographer, and he like asked to take Monica's picture with his Holga camera. And he was kind of hanging out with us for a little bit, but then Ami peed on one of us and we just kept talking about it and scaring me away. That's my story. I hope you're all doing okay. I'm sending you 8 million hugs.
Monica, I am going to miss you dearly. I know everyone else feels the same. You were truly one of a kind. I am very lucky to be touched by your unlimited and unconditional love, and I know everyone else would feel the same. Wherever you go, you light up a room with your smile and your warmth, and I'm really lucky to be able to experience that. I treasure the days when we would explore Brooklyn together over the weekends. You treated me like your little sister, and I looked up to you like my big sister. I'm really going to miss you. And I know you will live on in our memories forever.
I'm not the kind who likes to tell you just what I want to. I'm not the kind who needs to tell you just what you want me to. I saw you this morning and thought that you might like to know. I received your message a few days ago. I understand every word that you say. And now that I've actually heard it, you're going to regret. And I'm not the kind of guy to tell you just what you want me to. You're not the kind that needs to tell me about the birds and the bees. Time. Crucial point one day comes to climb. And I'm not the kind of likes to tell you just what I want to do. I'm not the kind who needs to tell you. This is why it's politically they find a different story. Run, run, run away. It's your heart that you betray. Feeding on your hungry eyes. I bet you're not so civilized. Well, isn't love primitive? A wild gift that you wanna give. Break out of captivity. Stereo jungle time. Love is the kill. Your heart's still wild. Shooting at the walls of heartache. Bang, bang. I am the warrior. Well, I am the warrior. And hard to win. If you survive, the warrior. The warrior. You talk to me. Your eyes touch me physically. Stay with me, take the night. As I shall chase another fight. Oh, who's the hunter? Who's the game? I feel the beat, call your name. I'll hold you close, victory. I don't wanna tame your animal style. Running caves with all the wild. Shooting at the walls of heartache. Bang, bang. I am the warrior. Well, I am the warrior. And hard to win. If you survive, the warrior. The warrior. The warrior. Shooting at the walls of heartache. Shooting at the walls of the warrior. I am the warrior. Hard to win. Hard to win. You survive. The warrior. The warrior. Shooting at the walls of heartache. Bang, bang. I am the warrior. Yes, I am the warrior. Victory is mine. Shooting at the walls of the warrior. I am the warrior. Shooting at the walls of heartache. That's how it starts. We go back to your house. You check the charts and start to figure it out. And if it's crowded, all the better. Because we know we're gonna be up late. heart. The way it does in bad films. Except the part where the more kicks in. Oh, you got the first 10 years just as fast as you can. And the next 10 people who are trying to be alive. When you're blowing really fast, it's in the middle. It's right now it gets tired on the very last friends tonight. To tell the truth, oh, this could be the last time. So here we go. Like the sails cars into the night. I made a fool, if I made a fool, if I made a fool on the road, there's always this. And if I turn into submission, I can still come home to this. It's like a tide or a lock of a stand. You can sleep on the
Hi, my name is Erin O'Callaghan, and I'm one of Monica's friends. I met Monica rather recently in 2017, and I met her through my very good friend Brooke, who, as you all know, very close to Monica, and was able to have Monica in my life, even though it was a short 4 years. Felt like she made such a great impact on me and my husband and my family. I got to spend New Year's Eve with her, Halloween, birthday dinners and karaoke nights, and celebrating each other's successes and accomplishments. I wanted to share in this video a couple of things that I really have always cherished about Monica, and that I wanted to share from my perspective what she meant to me as a really good friend. I think she really brought out the best in people, in others. She saw the best in people and brought out the best in them. She really lit up every room she entered. Everyone wanted to talk to her, get to know her if they didn't know her before. She was always singing the loudest to Taylor Swift songs or in the back of an Uber. Always somebody who was bringing over pies and baked delicious, amazing food that she made to my house when I invited her by, for hanging out with the kids and getting all of her mom friends together to just chill and drink some wine, have some food, cook, and enjoy each other's company, laugh. So much laughter I had with Monica, spending lots of time together, just singing and laughing and karaoke and dinners at our favorite Mexican restaurant and having margaritas, and just there was so much life being lived whenever I spent time with Monica, and that's what I'll miss the most. And I know she's had so much impact on so many of us, and that light that lived in her while she was here, it lives on in me, and it will forever. I'll always remember her as someone who was so much fun, such a great mom, raising P, a young P on her own. I always just admired her dedication to P, to being a single mom and work. She was such a hard worker, really cared about her job and was passionate about it. And she was so thoughtful and kind, always texted on special days or wished me good luck for medical procedures, called my husband and texted him on Father's Day, always was so special and kind to my sons, my boys, who loved her so much. And she just was a bright light that, again, is going to be shining in all of our hearts forever. And I'm so lucky that I got to have her in my life, even for a short few years. Monica, we love you. We're going to miss you forever. And thank you for all the joy that you brought us and brought me and my family. And you're the best. And I will cherish these memories forever. All the photos and videos and fun times. We'll continue having them in your honor. And thank you for everything.
Hi, I just wanted to share a memory I have with Monica. My name is Ilana. I first saw Monica at preschool. I saw her in the parking lot dropping Penelope off, and I loved how the two of them were interacting and how they looked together, and I would admire her from afar. And I would just love watching the two of them with their hair pieces and their flowy dresses, and they were just acting like one entity together. They were like one. And I thought to myself, like, oh, of course this woman has a little girl. It's like, so they're so cute together. And I have two boys. So I was just so like, I just enjoyed watching them together so much. I proceeded to meet meet Monica through Mom's Nights Out and through other preschool events, and she was so warm and generous and had such a big heart and funny. And you know, I feel like, you know, she was this friend. I was so excited to make friends with her as an adult because she was that friend I've always wanted, like somebody who's available and funny and fun and real and authentic and just like just ready to do things. And I could just talk to her about anything, and she just was not judgmental, and she would just go with the flow. And after, you know, I would leave from a time with her, my heart was so full, and I just felt so like energized, and she was just so vibrant, and she passed that energy along, and she shared her love that she had for life and for her friends. And I so admire all the deep friendships and connections that she's made, and all of you, and the support system that she had this last year was truly like, just, it blew me away. I am so in awe of the deep connections she's made with you all, and I miss her so much, and I'm just lucky to have been able to be friends with her, and I will think about her every day. Thank you, and thank you, Monica. You taught me so much, and I love you so much.
So we got more songs coming up, and then after this, everyone can pick out on the 10 million pies we've been baking. You got 2 more minutes in your body to dance, you think? Two? Oh, you got more than that. That means encore. Everybody, there's so much pie here, but I want to thank a lot of people that came to help me prepare for these pies. The ladies with the aprons that you see. We're gonna crown her right now. Oh, yeah. She we have a bakery in this kitchen and it's called the Poor Pretty Lady. All right, and
You're a man for good enough. Fall asleep.
what are you gonna call it? Animal print, that's new. That's been around for a while. Prima, leopard, cheetah, zebra, blah, 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 blah. My children's all I'm not even feminist at all. Not at all. Sing it, girl. I'm ready. Oh my God. Here we go. Ready? Ready? Let's do this. Let's do this. Ready? Okay. It's building a bit more. A little bit longer. I know the lyrics to this part. Sweetie, sing it. I don't know. Hold on. Let's do the chorus. Shooting at the walls of shining, bang, bang. I am a warrior. Yes, I am a warrior. I'm glad to watch you win. If you survive, the warrior, the warrior. Shooting at the walls of shining. yeah, look sexy blowing that candle. Happy birthday to you.
This is Santa. Birthday party tourism. Party isn't over yet. Always coming around to grab pictures too. So make sure you got your
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Craigie. Happy birthday to you. Cha cha cha.
Very impressive.
I really miss you. I really miss you, Monica. I wish this never happened. I really think you're sweet. I really think you're really sweet, generous, and kind. And really sorry you died. My mom was a great mom. She made the funniest faces ever. And on my birthday, she set up all the dolls on my stairs and there was presents on the table. And even though she had cancer, she still helped me with school. I miss my mom so much, and she loved to bake, and I loved to bake with her. And she was an excellent mom. She did everything, and before she had cancer, she was excellent. And when she did have cancer, she was still excellent. And even though she died, I still just pretend that she's here with me all the time.
Why won't you ever see I'm the right love with you? Yeah, I'm in love with you. You're cool, soft and only. You're cool, lost and lonely. You're cool, strange and dangerous. Dancing in the deepest ocean.